with Baba. Look at a major industry. That's a big problem. That's the livelihood. You have to choose. Should your workplace have energy, or where you sleep have energy?
Right.
Those are the difficult situations you have to go through. But in short, what you said, if government could, at least the support should not go there. Virtually, I think the phasing out of this power, the Grecos and so on, should not be abrupt. I think it should be in tandem with what we are producing. If we have produced 50 megawatts from Jagali, that's when you could
switch off the
50 megawatt. It should be in that tandem. That is my view.
Mr. Bwesigye, these subsidies, should they go?
I'm itching to really tackle this issue of subsidies, because first to answer to discuss her contribution of the 50,000 megawatts, 50 megawatt from Jagali being able to serve 50,000 domestic users. We have to appreciate that this is the current connectivity of UMEME per annum. 50,000 consumers are connected to the grid every year. So
new consumers.
So will you have sorted the problem when you're having an annual 50,000 connectivity to the grid?
Right.
Then the other issue, we need to get the facts very clear here when we are dealing with subsidies. Currently, the price, the power tariff is at 385. Now, the government is subsidizing 60%.
Yes.
To maintain it at that level.
Right.
What it would mean by removing the 60% subsidy,
goes to 800 something.
It goes to 874 Uganda shillings. Now, this is only 40% of the market. I'm sure that UMEME is collecting from 40. This is now 40% of the market that is actually diligently paying their bills.
Yes.
The presumption is that the other 60% the government is subsidizing are the losses that are being made, yes, which cannot be recouped in the process. Now, the moment you have removed these subsidies, what incentive do you leave for the 40% electricity consumers who have been paying their bills diligently to continue paying their bills? Certainly they will not. They will also start stealing the power, and they will stop failing. So you'll have a total market collapse, because you won't be able to get anyone paying for this very expensive electricity. So to me, this is a short-term, and this is the problem that the electricity sector has been facing ever since UMEME, UEB was unbundled in '99. That we did not, our economic policy regulators or planners did not look at the long-term market demands of the electricity or the power subsector. They were only dealing with the small market that was already there and got comfortable with that. Now, 50 megawatts, that will be until apparently when we are in the joint sector review last week, it came out that the next 50 megawatts will come out around
supposed to have come in October, then they say November.
November.
Then
so you're also not sure whether by in November you'll have the 50 megawatts, because there is no serious policy that says we shall deliver electricity at this time, and indeed it's a delay.
No, but there's movement. They've opened the turbines, I believe.
Yes, but if the testings are going on, so let's give them the benefit of doubt that by November we have the 50 megawatts.
By the end of November.
But remember, we still have a deficit of over 200 megawatts. Right. So will that sort out the problem? Possibly, if you're now having a load shedding of about 24 hours, it will be reduced to maybe 16 hours. And are you solving a problem?
Let's look at Jagali. It's supposed to come online fully by April next year. It will not have solved the problem.
I also believe by April, from what we gathered from the sector reviews, it will be only 100 megawatts. Now remember, like I said earlier, between now and November, you will have another about 25,000 new electricity consumers on the grid.
Yes.
And that also raises the demand from possibly the current 450 megawatts to 500 megawatts or so.
So whatever Jagali gives is going to be mopped up.
It will be swallowed up in the shortest time. Right. Now we also have another crisis, which in my opinion needs to be investigated further. The former energy minister comes up and says, hey, this dam will not produce 250 megawatts.
Yes.
And it will produce 170. Now the question is, in my perspective, Up the stream, you have Kira Dam, you have Narubale producing an average of 250 megawatts.
Yeah.
This is 8,000 cubic meters of water going through the turbines.
Yes.
Downstream about 14 kilometers or 15.
Yes.
It's the same water. So in my opinion, there would be no problem this same water going down the same turbines in Jagali and being able to produce 250 megawatts.
You think it will be able to do that?
I think it will.
They need 10,000
facts remaining constant.
10,000,
exactly.
But they have 7,000.
Now, if they need 10,000 and they have 7,000, that might be another challenge. To me, then, it may not be possible. But the question I want to raise here is, if the Honorable Minister, who was partly engaged, and he's a hydrology engineer, comes forward and makes that statement, what we need to be asking ourselves is, what made him say that statement? What does he know that the public doesn't know? We very well know that Jagali Dam is one of the most expensive dams in the world. So, what does the minister know that we don't know?
Talk about corruption, but tonight, let's assume there's no corruption in this country and talk about other things. Mr. Mubiru, these prepaid meters, will they remove power theft? Talking about corruption again.
You can't solve a moral problem using technology.
Yeah.
It can assist you. It can assist you. You combine good administration, systems and procedures with technology, and you fight a vice. It does ease the battle in power theft if applied well. And that is why we decided to start off with a pilot, and we've learned many things. You've seen people behave in funny ways, but we've kept that.
How do they do it? Talk to us about that.
You want to publicize? No, my appeal, just to as a sidetrack, is that we are stabbing ourselves in the back, shooting ourselves in the foot when we steal power. For all the items that have been discussed here, everything is just aggravated by power theft.
We should become good men and women.
We should work together the right way. The right way. We should do what's right.
Florence, okay, you're trying to preach. Florence, talk to us about these billing problems. What are you going to do about them? Sometimes you guess bills. You just, scratch your head and say, I think this man or woman consumed so much. Why do you do those things?
All right, what I need to tell the public is that occasionally we may be forced to estimate bills. However, in the main, we do read meters and bill on actual readings. But when we are forced to do estimate bills, we actually inform the customer by way of indicating on the bill that the bill is estimated.
It's a provisional. It's
a provision, yeah. If we pick an actual reading, this estimated bill can be regularized. Yeah. However, we must, what I need to also inform the public is that the estimates are based on a moving average of the customer's consumption. If the customer's consumption is consistent, then the estimate should be within the normal average use. However, in the event that this is way out of range, there is a mechanism to have it corrected.
And some people put signs saying Umbwa Kali, so they don't want you to enter their gates. So whether they have dogs or not, maybe they don't even have a cat, but they put a sign saying Umbwa Kali, so you can't. Is that a problem that you face sometimes?
Definitely, that is a very huge problem.
Umbwa Kali means ash dog.
Yeah, where we don't have access to the meters, we are definitely forced to estimate. And in the event that we have circumstances like rainfall and we're not able to cover the homes that we should have covered in terms of reading, again, we are forced to estimate, but this can be corrected, definitely.
A man said to me he invested in a sign, a big sign saying Umbwa Kali, hash dog. Is that breaking the law? Can you take such a person to court when they try to block you from reading the meter? Do you have a law that protects you?
Maybe I can just supplement on that one. There is a requirement in the law that puts the onus on the customer to make the meter available. Yes, to grant. Actually, it's an access, the right of access, reasonable access. I mean, somebody shouldn't come barging in somebody's home. Reasonable access to access a meter.
This is Spectrum on Radio 1. You can call in now. Our number 0414-348-111, 0312-260-390, 0312-261-390. When you call in, please tell us your name and where you are calling from. Spectrum,
Edmond, good evening, sir.
Good evening, your name?
I'm AM, calling from Uganda.
Yes.
I want to salute those officials from UMEME. and I want to stand by them. Yeah, the public, most of the public, some of them still the electricity, and people who, like us, who pay promptly, we suffer because of those people. As actually he has said that, you know, you cannot check someone's tomorrow. That's true, but if you are all to see that we don't suffer, who are already who are meeting the contract with the UMEME. And thirdly, I want to tell the public how many people are connected, the percentage in the whole country. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Okay. Spectrum, hello. Yes. Can you switch off your radio, please? Hello? Switch off your radio. Create some distance between you and it. Spectrum, hello.
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 Good evening, Edmond.
Good evening.
My name is Paul Mugambe.
Yes, Paul.
I'm calling from Luzira. Now, the first thing which is not coming out is that those people have been saying that fire that gutted that thermal generator in Mutundwe was the problem. But Edmond, you must remember that before the fire theory came up, that there was a misunderstanding between the providers and the government on the issues of payment, and as a result, the power, the generator was already off before even the issue of fire came up. Secondly, with Agreco, there's also the problem of non-payment by the government, which has failed to meet its obligation. Those are some of the key problems that are bringing this load shedding to this extent. There is an issue of payment, there's an issue of a tax dispute. I think the government is failing on its part. Then there is the issue of Jagali producing 170 megawatts of power. I think these people should not take for granted the assertion by Hilary Onek, because he's the same man who warned when they were expanding Kira Dam to make it two dams. He warned that to produce less power than previously produced by a single dam, and actually that one everyone neglected it at that time. Even the president, he wrote a very big missive in the newspaper on that one. They neglected it. A lot of money was lost. As a result, the outcome was less power than what a single dam was producing. So I think they should not take his warning for granted. I beg to submit.
Hello. Hello? Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening. Your name?
My name is Ore. First of all, I want to. I don't agree with the UMEME at all. You remember one time we communicated a lot in this radio, and when the management of the UMEME came some time back, I asked them how much money have they put in the project they got from Uganda Electricity Board. Actually, that question was not answered. Now, the problem we have today, this was a mistake, a political mistake, and actually by our government. You find that you cannot liberalize electricity, which is one of the 9 basic needs of the people. And then you give it to a South African company, which is also connected to the government. You cannot get one away from this and you say you are now giving to another government. These are some of the mistakes. Now, the current power side which we have now is the result of Agreco and then people who actually want money from the government.
All right. Our final caller, Spectrum. Hello. Hello. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Your name?
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Your name?
I'm alright. I'm called Robinson.
Yes.
Yeah, I also choose to disagree with the gentleman from UMEME, really. I think they're not giving us a gist of the problem, because there are certainly problems of payment. I know they've talked about capacities and power being inefficient, but it's not the true problem. Then I need to understand where are the solutions and what are the timelines. I know they're talking about Bwesigye not being enough. So when do you get the right mix of power, and about when does Uganda get to have enough power? Thank you.
Florence.
I want to begin by articulating once again UMEME's position as far as the electricity sector is concerned. UMEME does distribute power. The power that it distributes, it buys from UETCL. UETCL, which is a Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited, does buy from independent power producers who are the generators. So as far as generation of power is concerned and the debate about Bwesigye, UMEME's position is that it is distributing power. The first question I'll deal with the first question by one of the callers regarding the number of customers that are connected right now. We have connected 450,000 customers as we speak now. Regarding the cause of the current problem, I gave a background at the beginning of this program. The problem was just aggravated by the incident at Mutundwe.
Right. Yes. Okay. Let's hear from you. Would you like to respond to the questions?
No, to us on the.
But maybe you can talk to us about alternative energy. What can we do to get out of this trap? We're relying on hydroelectric power, relying on geothermal. Are there other sources that we can rely on?
Possibly we should be using solar, and to that effect, I'm happy to mention that Private Sector Foundation is supporting a process whereby those who want to use water heaters, especially for hotels and so on, can be subsidized at up to 50% so that they can set up solar energy panels for water heating, with the view that they will reduce the use of what is on the grid, so that possibly industries can use that. So it is a support so that you can gain.
Right.
That is the kind of business thinking which we are having.
At Private Sector Foundation.
Yeah, we could build on to that. We are supporting processes through the World Bank to bring in production of smaller hydroelectric plants through supporting feasibility studies and so on. We are moving in the direction again of either to increase the energy supply or to save it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Bwesigye.
Yeah, well, we need, like one of the callers mentioned, he wasn't so clear, but I tried to pick his point. First, he said this was a political mistake when the government replaced, in my opinion, one monolithic state entity with another private sector monolithic.
They actually split it up into four.
They split it up into four, but when you look at the market share of, for example, UMEME in the distribution network, it has over 80%.
Yes.
And one of the, if you
there are other distributors like Wenrep in West Nile.
Those are off grid.
Right.
But we are talking about those who are on the main grid. It's over 85% is controlled by UMEME. But if we look at the energy policy of 2002, one of the things that was undertaken was to ensure that this sector is an economic regulated sector. What that means in economics is that once you say you're going to pursue economic regulation of any utility service, you are accepting that there is a market failure. So what are you saying? You're saying now we need to liberalize the market, bring in private sector, like my friend here was saying, let people openly compete to deliver electricity. I always like giving the example of India. India's electricity network is such that you have private sectors involved,
and the state,
and the state,
right.
And the private sector can easily get onto the grid.
Right.
It can generate, it can transmit, it can distribute
if they have the money.
Yes, if they have the money. And we have evidence that there are several people, several private sector companies who are interested in investing in the energy sector.
Right.
But because of these 20-year concession agreements with the generation company, Eskom, South Africa, at Nalubale, and then UMEME,
they are locked out.
They are locked out. And this is the political question that needs to be answered.
Briefly, you're saying it was a wrong thing to split UEB. They shouldn't have done that.
It wasn't a wrong thing, but they split it and then did the same thing. There was no work done at the end of the day. So to me, they needed to open up the market, which was never done.
Mr. Ambiru, as we wind up, this, the Mutundwe, did it really happen? Give us a clearer picture on that. How bad was it?
I've just shown you a photograph. I'm an engineer. I spent the last 3 nights trying to repair the place. There are 2 separate issues here. An ongoing issue of insufficient supply, load shedding, and a big fault that hit a major part of our equipment.
So it actually happened?
Yes.
And it was the cause of the bad problem length?
From Saturday night up to yesterday. I mean Tuesday night. That caused the rents.
All right, we have to end here. Thank you very much indeed, dear guests. Mrs. Florence Nsubuga, Outage Project Manager at UMEME, Mr. Moses Ogwal, Director Policy Advocacy at the Private Sector Foundation, Mr. Don Bwesigye Binyina, Program Officer at AFIEGO, and Mr. Robert Mubiro, Regional Manager, Kampala Central. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. The Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in English. Just stay tuned.
Just like an uncut diamond is brought to life by unmatched skill and dedication, only our brewmaster holds the secret to crafting a crystal malt lager.